Have you ever had an itch you just couldn't explain? One that wouldn't go away? As we get older, our bodies speak in quiet ways. Sometimes it's a twinge, a bruise that shows up out of nowhere, or a shortness of breath. But there's one signal that often gets overlooked: persistent itching. And doctors are now saying that certain types of itching, in very specific spots, could be a red flag for something far more serious. In this video, we reveal 5 spots where older adults often feel itchy a year before serious illnesses like heart disease or cancer are diagnosed. From subtle clues on your back to discomfort in your legs, each sign we're about to explore may hold more meaning than you think. While not every itch is cause for concern, these particular locations, when combined with other symptoms, or when they linger without reason, deserve a closer look. And I want you to stay with me until the end of this video, because you might not only recognize these signs in yourself, but you may also catch something early in someone you love. That understanding can be life-changing. Now let's begin. Number 1, itching on the upper back. One of the earliest and most overlooked signs doctors point to is a persistent itch on the upper back, right between the shoulder blades, or just beneath the neckline. Many older adults chalk it up to dry skin or irritation from clothing, but there's something deeper going on that deserves your attention. The upper back is closely tied to internal organs, like the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. When something isn't functioning properly, especially when bile ducts are obstructed, or when the liver starts to accumulate damage, it can trigger a condition called cholestatic pruritus. In simple terms, your body is trying to tell you that bile is building up where it shouldn't be, and the signal it sends isn't always pain or fatigue, it's itching. It's subtle, it comes and goes. But when that itch is frequent, lingers for weeks, or worsens at night, that's when it's time to take it seriously. Older adults who later discover liver or pancreatic problems often recall experiencing this kind of itch months before any major diagnosis. There was a man named Robert, 74 years old, who began to feel an odd, persistent itch right under his shoulder blade. He tried everything, different soaps, lotions, even new laundry detergent, but nothing helped. His doctor eventually ran a few blood tests, followed by imaging, and discovered early-stage bile duct cancer. They caught it early enough to treat it. That itch may very well have saved his life. The reason this area in particular is a warning sign has to do with how the nervous system communicates with your skin. When your liver or pancreas starts to struggle, those internal stress signals often surface on the back, where there's a high concentration of sensory nerves tied to these organs. It's also worth noting that this itch tends to be internal. It feels deep, not like something you can scratch away on the surface. And more often than not, there's no visible rash. That makes it easy to ignore or dismiss. But if you feel an itch in this area that persists, despite skin creams, or doesn't seem tied to any external irritant, it's worth having a doctor check your liver enzymes and perform a basic scan. The earlier you can catch an issue like this, the better your odds. Itching isn't just a nuisance. In some cases, especially in older adults, it's a message, a signal your body is sending, because something important is happening underneath the surface. Number 2, itching on the lower legs. If you've noticed an itch that won't quit on your lower legs, particularly around the shins or ankles, it might be easy to assume it's just dry skin or a seasonal flare-up. But doctors who work closely with older patients say this particular itch can sometimes be a subtle but important signal of reduced blood flow or early-stage heart issues. As we age, our circulation naturally slows down, especially in the lower parts of the body. The legs, being farthest from the heart, are often the first place to show signs of poor vascular health. When the blood isn't moving properly through your veins and arteries, it doesn't just cause swelling or fatigue, it can lead to a buildup of waste products in the skin. And one of the most common responses is itching. You might not see much. There may be no rash, no redness, no swelling. Just that persistent, irritating itch that feels like it's under the skin. For some people, it even gets worse at night. When circulation slows even further, it's easy to ignore, but if it's chronic and resistant to creams or antihistamines, it might be worth a deeper look. One 78-year-old woman named Carol shared that her legs itched constantly for about 6 months. She had tried every lotion under the sun, changed. Her detergent even switched to natural soaps, but the itch didn't stop. It wasn't until she went in for a routine heart check that her doctor discovered early-stage congestive heart failure. Her heart was struggling to pump blood efficiently, and her circulation had quietly started to suffer. In these cases, what's happening beneath the skin is far more serious than what's visible on the surface. Decreased circulation means that oxygen and nutrients aren't reaching the tissue like they should. Your skin reacts by becoming more sensitive, drier, and more irritable. There's also a connection between itchy legs and conditions like peripheral artery disease, which narrows blood vessels and further restricts blood flow. If you've noticed that your lower legs are itchy and also feel cold, weak, or numb at times, or if you see any color changes or ulcers forming, it's time to talk to your doctor. And it's not just about heart disease. Diabetes, kidney disease, and chronic venous insufficiency can all trigger this same sensation. The important thing is to notice the pattern. Is the itch staying in your lower legs? Does it return night after night? Are you finding it harder to walk or do your daily activities? If so, don't dismiss it as just dry skin. Let your healthcare provider know. A simple check of your circulation, blood pressure, and heart rhythm could uncover something that's been brewing quietly for months. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, itching on the chest and upper arms. When itching shows up on the chest or upper arms, especially without any visible rash or irritation, it often flies under the radar. Most older adults assume it's a change in the weather, a new fabric softener, or just a sign of aging skin. But when this kind of itch sticks around, and especially when it's felt deep in the skin, rather than on the surface, there's another possibility. Doctors are increasingly paying attention to internal malignancies. Lymphoma is one of the most commonly overlooked conditions, tied to unexplained persistent itching. In fact, many people who are later diagnosed with certain forms of blood cancer recall that their first symptom wasn't a lump or fatigue, it was itching. And this itch often begins in the trunk of the body, particularly across the chest or upper arms. The reason this happens has to do with how your immune system responds to cancerous cells. As the disease begins to develop internally, the body releases chemicals like cytokines and histamines, which can irritate the nerve endings in the skin long before other symptoms show up. The result? A nagging itch that comes and goes, and doesn't respond well to moisturizers or allergy pills. It might not seem urgent at first. You may go days without noticing it, and then suddenly feel that scratchy sensation return, especially at night or after a warm shower. Some people describe it as a crawling feeling, almost like something is just under the skin. Others say it's not painful, but just always there, quietly bothering them when they least expect it. There's also a unique pattern that doctors have observed. This kind of itching rarely affects the hands or face, and instead concentrates around areas where lymph nodes are dense, the chest, underarms, and upper arms. This is where your body stores immune cells, and it's where early signs of trouble can quietly begin. Take the story of Harold, an 81-year-old man from Oregon. He started feeling itchy on his upper arms and across his chest around the same time. He began feeling unusually tired in the afternoons. He didn't think much of it, blamed it on aging. But when it didn't go away, his doctor ran a few tests, including a blood panel and scan. It turned out Harold was in the very early stages of Hodgkin lymphoma. Because they caught it early, his treatment was successful, and he's still gardening in his backyard to this day. Now let's be clear, not every itch on your chest means something serious. But when it's deep, persistent, and not tied to any skin, condition, or environmental factor, it's worth paying attention. Especially if you notice other signs like unexplained fatigue, night sweats, or weight loss, it's time to speak with your physician. And even if those symptoms aren't present, don't feel hesitant to ask. A basic blood test and physical exam can often tell your doctor, if anything, deeper might be going on. The real danger comes not from the itching itself, but from ignoring what your body might be trying to tell you. When you've lived through as many years as we have, you learn that the body whispers before it shouts. And the sooner we listen to the whisper, the more time we have to do something about it. Number 4, itching on the scalp. Now this one might catch you by surprise. Most people, especially those of us in our 60s, 70s, or beyond, have dealt with a dry or itchy scalp at some point. We often chalk it up to shampoo, aging, or even the weather. But persistent, unexplained itching on the scalp, particularly when there's no dandruff or visible skin, irritation can sometimes be a sign of something going on much deeper inside the body. Your scalp is packed with nerve endings and blood vessels, and when something shifts inside your body, especially with organs like your kidneys or in your endocrine system, it can create an itch that feels almost like it's coming from under the skin. Not a surface-level dryness, but a sensation that's harder to reach. Doctors have noted that people with chronic kidney disease often experience this kind of scalp itching, sometimes long before they're aware anything is wrong. The body begins to struggle with filtering out toxins, and those chemical buildups affect the nerves in your skin. Since your scalp has one of the richest nerve supplies in the body, it's one of the first places where you'll feel it. The same can happen with thyroid issues. When the thyroid is either overactive or underactive, it throws off your skin's balance. You might not notice the sluggishness or temperature changes right away, but your scalp will feel it. And often, no amount of conditioner or medicated shampoo will help. That's the key. It's a quiet sign. You may find yourself scratching your head during the day without realizing why. You may notice the itch intensifies at night or after you shower. And you might not even see flaking or redness. That's what makes it so tricky. It's invisible to everyone but you. One woman I knew, her name was Eileen, 76, kept mentioning to her daughter that her scalp itched constantly. She tried switching shampoos, went to a dermatologist, even bought a humidifier for her bedroom. But nothing worked. Eventually, she went in for a full checkup, and blood work revealed that her kidney function was below normal. She hadn't noticed any other symptoms. No swelling, no fatigue, just the itch. It was the first clue. It's not always dramatic. In fact, the quiet ones are often the most dangerous. That's why this kind of scalp itch, when it doesn't respond to normal remedies, when it lingers for weeks or months, deserves your attention. Especially if you're also noticing other subtle shifts, like changes in urination, sleep disturbances, or changes in appetite or mood. There's also a neurological aspect to this. When the body is stressed, especially by internal disease, the nerves themselves can misfire, creating itch sensations with no clear cause. These itches can feel maddening because they're real but invisible. You know it's there, but there's nothing on your scalp you can show a doctor. That's why it's important to speak up and ask for a broader evaluation. It might be as simple as checking kidney function or running a thyroid panel. It might lead to earlier detection of something far more serious. But ignoring it or assuming it's just part of getting old can delay care you might truly need. So the next time you find yourself scratching your head, not because of confusion, but because of an itch that won't quit, listen closely. Your body might be trying to whisper something important. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, itching on the palms and soles. Now let's talk about one of the most overlooked and often misread signals. Your body can send an intense itch on the palms of your hands or the soles of your feet. At first glance, it might seem minor, maybe even just annoying. But for older adults, persistent itching in these very specific areas can point to deeper issues that go well beyond dry skin or seasonal allergies. The palms and soles are densely packed with nerve endings, blood vessels, and sweat glands. And because of this, when your internal health starts to shift, particularly when it comes to your metabolism, blood sugar levels, or even your nervous system, these areas are often the first to feel it. Doctors have found that persistent itching in the hands and feet, especially when it's not connected to a visible rash or new detergent, can sometimes be an early warning sign of worsening diabetes. As blood sugar levels rise and nerves begin to take on subtle damage, a condition known as diabetic neuropathy. One of the first symptoms people describe isn't pain or numbness, but itching. That itch can feel strange, almost electric. It might be hard to locate exactly. It just feels like something is crawling beneath your skin. Sometimes it flares up at night, and other times it strikes after activity or exposure to warmth. In one case I remember clearly, there was a man named George. He was 80 years old and had been managing his blood sugar for over a decade. But one summer he started complaining about this intense, crawling itch on the bottoms of his feet. No rash, no redness, just this sensation that drove him up the wall, especially at night. At first he thought it was his socks or maybe athlete's foot, but nothing helped. When he finally got checked, they discovered his blood sugar had crept up silently and nerve inflammation had already started. Beyond diabetes, itching in these areas can also be tied to liver disease, particularly conditions that interfere with bile production or processing. When bile acids build up in the bloodstream, they often affect the hands and feet first, creating a deep, restless itch that doesn't go away. There's even some evidence that certain neurological disorders can begin with itching in these regions. As the central nervous system starts to misfire, your skin's nerves can become confused, sending itch signals even when nothing's wrong on the surface. What makes palm and sole itching especially tricky is how easy it is to explain away. Maybe it's the socks, maybe it's new shoes, maybe it's the weather. That's what most people think, until it continues for weeks, or starts interrupting their sleep, or spreads slowly to other parts of the body. And unlike itches caused by bug bites or irritants, this type doesn't respond well to creams or over-the-counter antihistamines. That's often the biggest clue: it's resistant. It doesn't follow the usual rules. So what should you look for? Pay attention to frequency. Does the itch return day after day, especially during quiet times like before bed? Are you noticing other changes like fatigue, increased thirst, tingling sensations, or weight fluctuations? Those are signs it's time to talk to a healthcare provider. Itching might seem like a small thing, but when it's deep, persistent, and localized in places like the hands and feet, it could be your body's quiet way of asking for help before something more serious takes hold. And when you've lived a long life, you've learned this much: trust your instincts. They've carried you this far for a reason. Final thoughts. As we age, it's easy to dismiss small discomforts like persistent itching as just another part of growing older. However, your body often communicates in subtle ways, and ignoring these signs could mean missing a serious health issue. Whether it's an itch on your back, legs, chest, or even palms and soles, each one could be trying to tell you something important. Early detection of conditions like liver disease, heart issues, or even cancer could dramatically improve your chances of effective treatment. The key is to listen to your body, pay attention to the patterns, and speak up when something feels off. While it's tempting to brush off these minor irritations, taking action now could save your life. So don't let the smallest signs slip by unnoticed. Taking proactive steps could make all the difference in maintaining your health and well-being as you age. Your body is trying to tell you something. Trust it. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.